I should have known something was wrong when my mother-in-law insisted on hosting the welcome party for my daughter. But there I stood, 3 weeks postpartum, watching Yolanda arrange finger sandwiches while cooing over my baby Ella like she owned her. I'm Lindsay, and this is how my husband and his mother tried to destroy me, and how I made them regret it. Oh, darling, you look... well, you're trying your best, Yolanda said, adjusting my dress strap like I was a child. Perhaps some more concealer under those eyes. I forced a smile, clutching Ella closer to my chest. The living room was filling with guests, mostly Casey's colleagues and family friends. My sister Vivian couldn't make it, stuck in court. Now I wonder if Yolanda planned it that way. "Where's Casey?" I asked, scanning the room for my husband. "Oh, finishing up some work calls. You know how important his position is." Yolanda's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Unlike maternity leave, which is basically a vacation." Before I could respond, my former best friend Marley swooped in. "Lindsay, you're actually up and dressed." She exchanged knowing looks with Yolanda. "We were all so worried when you wouldn't answer calls last week." "I was recovering from a C-section," I said flatly. "Doctor's orders." Of course, Marley patted my arm, though my cousin bounced right back. Casey finally emerged from his home office, perfectly groomed in his casual blazer. He kissed my cheek, cold, mechanical, and immediately reached for Ella. "Let me take her, honey. You look tired." The room hushed as Yolanda clinked her glass. My stomach dropped as I watched her command everyone's attention. This wasn't a spontaneous toast. "Friends, family, thank you for coming to welcome our precious Ella." Yolanda's voice carried that false warmth I'd grown to hate. "As you know, becoming a mother is challenging. Some women adapt naturally, while others..." She paused, eyes finding mine. "Others need more support." The silence grew heavy. Casey stood beside his mother, still holding our daughter, not looking at me. "Which is why Casey and I have made arrangements." Yolanda gestured to manila envelopes being distributed by the catering staff. "We've prepared a care plan. I'll be moving in temporarily to assume primary caretaking duties, while Lindsay focuses on her recovery." The room exploded in whispers. I stood frozen, watching guests pull out glossy documents detailing my supposed instability. 3 weeks of concerning behaviour. Documentation of maternal reluctance. Even quotes from my private therapy sessions, the ones Casey had insisted I attend with his mother's recommended doctor. "It's for the best, honey," Casey finally spoke, bouncing our daughter. "Mum knows what she's doing." I felt the room spinning, but not from shock, from rage, pure, crystallizing rage. "Lindsay?" Marley touched my arm. "Maybe you should sit." I smiled, calm, collected. "Actually, I think I'll take Ella for her feeding." Oh, I can do that," Yolanda stepped forward. "We have bottles ready." "No," my voice cut through the room. "My daughter, my breast milk, my decision." I took Ella from Casey's arms, his face flickering with uncertainty at my steadiness. As I walked upstairs, I heard Yolanda smoothly steering the conversation toward refreshments. In the nursery, I held Ella close, breathing in her perfect newborn scent. They thought they'd blindsided me. They thought this carefully orchestrated humiliation would break me. My phone buzzed. A text from Vivian. "Court filing confirmed. Operation Karma starts Monday." I kissed Ella's forehead, a cold smile spreading across my face. While they'd been planning their little intervention, I'd been planning too. Every manipulative text, every financial document, every recorded conversation where Yolanda talked about taking over once the baby arrived, all safely backed up and in my lawyer's hands. They wanted to paint me as unstable? Fine. I'd show them what happens when you back a mother into a corner. "Your grandma and daddy made a big mistake, sweet girl," I whispered to Ella. "They thought Mummy was weak. They forgot I made partner at my firm by age 30. They forgot I specialised in crisis management. Another text from Vivian. You okay? I typed back one word. Ready. The party continued below, Yolanda's laugh carrying up the stairs. Let them celebrate. Let them think they've won. Come Monday, they'd learn what real instability looks like. They wanted a war? I'd give them annihilation. After the last guest left, I sat in the nursery's rocking chair, my laptop balanced on the armrest, while Ella slept in her crib. The house below echoed with the sounds of Casey and Yolanda cleaning up, probably congratulating themselves on their perfect ambush. My fingers flew across the keyboard, sending Vivian the final pieces she needed. 3 years of marriage, and I'd documented everything. You've got enough to bury them, Vivian said when she called. The financial records alone. They'll try to use the postpartum against me, I said quietly, watching Ella's chest rise and fall. Yolanda's got that therapist in her pocket. That's why we moved first. Judge Matthews already has the emergency custody petition. The financial fraud allegations are just the nuclear option. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Got to go, coming over tomorrow? With bells on. And Lindsay? You're not crazy. You're just surrounded by crazy. Casey appeared in the doorway as I ended the call. Who was that? Vivian, checking in. I closed my laptop. Since she couldn't make it to your mother's little presentation. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. Look, I know it seemed harsh, but we're worried about you. The crying, the paranoia about letting anyone hold Ella. You mean letting your mother hold Ella? While she criticises my breastfeeding technique. See? This is exactly what I mean. Mum's trying to help, and you're being defensive. I stood up slowly, my C-section scar still tender. Remember last month? When Yolanda suggested putting her name on Ella's birth certificate as a precaution? She was joking. Was she joking when she accessed my therapy records? When she told your aunt I might have postpartum psychosis? Casey ran his hands through his hair, his tell when he's losing control of a situation. You're twisting things. Mum's moving in tomorrow. We've already decided. No, I said simply. She's not. Lindsay? I have breast milk stored in the freezer. I'm taking Ella to Vivian's tonight. You can explain to your mother why her bedroom takeover needs to wait. His face darkened. You're not taking my daughter anywhere. Our daughter. And yes, I am. Unless you want me calling the police to report how your mother obtained my private medical records. Pretty sure that's a HIPAA violation. The threat landed. Casey stepped back, that familiar mask of calm sliding into place. Fine. One night? But we're discussing this tomorrow. Oh, we'll definitely be having discussions tomorrow. I packed quickly. I'd prepared a bag days ago when I first noticed Yolanda bringing over extra clothes. Just in case. Casey watched from the doorway as I strapped Ella into her car seat. Don't do anything stupid, he warned. I smiled, thinking of the court papers already being processed. I never do. Vivian's apartment was a 20th floor haven with a spare room already set up for us. She opened the door in her pajamas, legal papers spread across her coffee table. Holy shit, she said, taking in my face. You really are you scary calm about this? Calm is a weapon, I replied, settling Ella into the portable crib. What have you found? She held up a stack of bank statements. Remember that inheritance from Grandma last year? The one Casey convinced you to invest in his company's new project. The tech startup. What about it? It never went to the startup. Yolanda diverted it into a private account. Casey's signature is all over the transfers. I felt my hands shake for the first time that day. How much? 250,000. That's... I sat heavily on the couch. That's theft. That's why Judge Matthews expedited the hearing. Vivian poured us both wine. The custody filing was concerning, but the financial fraud? That's criminal. Casey will claim I authorized it. Casey can claim whatever he wants. We have the paper trail. She handed me a glass. The real question is, how far do you want to take this? I thought about the pamphlets at the party, the whispers, the way Casey held our daughter while his mother announced her plan to take over my role. All the way, I said, taking a sip. I want them to regret ever thinking they could take my baby. They'll play dirty. They already have. I pulled out my phone, showing her the texts already coming in from Marley and other friends, all concerned about my erratic behaviour in leaving the house. Flying monkeys, Vivian muttered, right on schedule. Let to them come. Every worried text, every call about my mental state, it's all evidence of harassment. Ella stirred in her sleep, making those tiny noises that melted my heart. I touched her tiny hand, her fingers wrapping instinctively around mine. Tomorrow, I said softly, we show them what a real intervention looks like. The next morning, I drove to my old office building, Ella securely strapped in her carrier. Otto was waiting in the coffee shop across the street, his familiar grin warming something in my chest I thought had frozen solid. There's my favourite tiny human, he cooed at Ella before looking up at me. And her warrior mum, you look like hell? Actually, you look dangerous. He pulled out my chair. I like it. I'd worked with Otto for 5 years before my maternity leave. He'd been the first to notice something was off when Casey started managing my pregnancy. Remember when he insisted on coming to every doctor's appointment? Otto asked, stirring his coffee. Said he was being supportive? While texting his mother updates about my concerning questions to the doctor. I adjusted Ella's blanket. I should have seen it then. You were busy growing a human. Speaking of... He reached into his messenger bag. I found those email threads you asked about. The ones where Casey discussed your temporary replacement. My hand stilled. From when? 4 months into your pregnancy. Way before any maternity leave discussions. I scanned the printed emails. Casey had been planning with HR to transition my accounts permanently, citing concerns about my work-life balance after the baby. He was setting me up to be a stay-at-home mum under his mother's supervision. Keep reading, Otto said grimly. There it was. Yolanda's name in Casey's correspondence with his boss, Gareth. Discussions about a family office arrangement, using my inheritance as seed money. That manipulative son of a... Careful, Otto gestured at Ella. Little ears. My phone buzzed. Marley, again. I let it go to voicemail. She's been calling all morning, I explained. Probably reporting back to Yolanda. About that? Otto leaned forward. You know she's been sleeping with Casey's cousin, right? The one who works at the investment firm handling your inheritance. The pieces clicked. That's how they got the account information. Bingo. Otto's eyes softened. I'm sorry, Lindsay. I should have told you sooner about Marley. No, this is perfect. I pulled out my phone, typing quickly. Watch this. I sent a group text to several gossip-prone colleagues. Having coffee with Otto, he just told me the most shocking thing about Casey. Can't believe he'd risk everything for someone else while I was pregnant. No wonder his mum's trying to take control. Otto's eyes widened. You didn't actually accuse him of... Nope. Just planted the seed. Let their guilty consciences fill in the blanks. My phone immediately lit up with responses. I silenced it, knowing the rumour mill was already spinning. You're scary good at this, Otto said admiringly. I learned from the best. Yolanda's been playing these games for years. I stood up, adjusting Ella's carrier. Thanks for the emails. They'll help. Lindsay? Otto caught my hand. When this is over, maybe we could... My phone rang. Vivian. Sorry, I have to take this. Stepping outside, I answered what she says. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's beautifully right. Check your email. I pulled up my inbox while balancing Ella. There it was, a forwarded message from an anonymous account. What am I looking at? Financial records from Yolanda's personal foundation, the one she uses for her charity work. Vivian's voice dripped satisfaction. Turns out she's been embezzling from it for years, including the money she used to pay off your therapist. My hand shook as I scrolled through the documents. Who sent this? Someone who signed it Karma's accountant. My money's on Casey's boss, Gareth. He's been trying to get Yolanda's influence out of the company for years. I watched Otto through the coffee shop window, talking softly to a coworker. He caught my eye and smiled. That same supportive smile he'd given me when I first suspected something was wrong in my marriage. Vivian, I need you to move up the timeline. How fast can we file everything? The papers are ready. Just say when. I looked down at Ella, peaceful in her carrier, unaware of the storm about to break. Tomorrow, during Casey's big presentation to the board. That's ruthless. Vivian paused. I love it. My phone buzzed with another text. Casey this time. Mum's upset. You're not answering her calls. Come home. We can work this out. I typed back. You're right. Let's talk tomorrow. After your presentation. Looking up, I caught Otto watching me again. He raised his coffee cup in a mock toast, and I felt a flutter that had nothing to do with revenge. Tomorrow, I'd burn Casey's world down. But today, for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my old power suit, the one I wore to close my biggest deals. Ella matched in a pristine white onesie, the picture of a well-cared-for baby. Appearances matter when you're about to destroy someone's life. Ready for our little visit? I cooed to Ella, checking my hidden voice recorder. Yolanda opened her front door with obvious surprise. Lindsay, I've been trying to reach you. I know, I came to apologise. The lie tasted sweet. May I come in? Her house was a shrine to control. Everything perfectly placed, photos of Casey everywhere, but none of me. She led us to her immaculate living room, practically vibrating with satisfaction. I'm so relieved you're being sensible, she said, reaching for Ella. Casey was worried you might do something rash. I held Ella closer. Actually, I wanted to understand something first. The foundation money. How long have you been using it to manipulate Casey's life? The colour drained from her face. I don't know what you're talking about. The therapist you paid to diagnose me with postpartum depression? The one who conveniently shared all my sessions with you? I pulled out my phone, playing a recording. She confessed everything this morning. Something about not wanting to lose her licence. Yolanda's mask cracked. You ungrateful little... Careful, I warned, still recording. Remember who's holding the baby. That baby should have been mine to raise. She caught herself, lowering her voice. Casey was perfect before you. Perfect. Then you got pregnant, and suddenly he's questioning everything. The company investments, my involvement in his life. His life, not mine, not Ella's. You have no idea what it takes to build a legacy. Yolanda stepped closer. That inheritance of yours, it's protecting Casey's future. Your postpartum confusion would have wasted it on some daycare business. Got her. The recording caught every word. My phone buzzed. Vivian. Court orders signed. Green light. Thank you, Yolanda, I said calmly. That's exactly what I needed to hear. What? A confession about the inheritance, the fraud. All of it. She lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. You recorded me? You can't. That's illegal. Single-party consent state. I smiled. I consented. The doorbell rang. Yolanda froze as a man's voice called out, Legal courier service. That would be your cease and desist order, I explained, bouncing Ella gently. The fraud investigation notice should arrive this afternoon. You wouldn't dare. Casey would never let you. Casey's about to have his own problems. I checked my watch. In about 30 minutes, actually. Yolanda grabbed her phone, hand shaking. No signal. What did you do? Me? Nothing. But cell towers do mysteriously go down sometimes. Usually back up in an hour or so. Just long enough for certain presentations to go uninterrupted. The courier knocked again. Yolanda's face contorted with rage. Get out of my house! Gladly, but first, I placed a final envelope on her perfect coffee table. Divorce papers. I had them drawn up weeks ago when I first found the transfer records. You should be proud. I learned manipulation from the best. I'll destroy you, she hissed. No, I said softly. You already tried that. At my daughter's welcome party. Remember? Ella began to fuss. Perfect timing. I headed for the door, pausing in the doorway. Oh, and Yolanda. The foundation board meets this afternoon. Funny how many anonymous tips they've received about financial irregularities. The courier was still waiting. I nodded to him as I left, Yolanda's scream of frustration following me down the walkway. My phone buzzed back to life as I drove away, right on schedule. 3 missed calls from Casey. A text from Vivienne. Court recorder ready for the presentation? On her way, I replied. Another message popped up. Otto. Just saw Casey. He's reviewing his slides, totally clueless. You sure about this? I thought about the pamphlets at the party, the whispers, the planned destruction of my motherhood. Absolutely sure, I texted back. Ella cooed from her car seat as I parked near Casey's office building. In 20 minutes, his carefully constructed world would shatter. The court recorder would capture every moment. Gareth would witness his star employee's fall. My phone lit up with a final text from Casey. Running late? Save me a seat? Don't worry, I wrote back. I wouldn't miss this for the world. I checked my makeup in the rearview mirror, adjusted Ella's bow, and grabbed the final envelope from my briefcase. Time to show them what a real intervention looks like. The boardroom buzzed with pre-presentation energy. Casey stood at the front, arranging his slides, every hair perfectly in place. He faltered slightly when I walked in with Ella, but recovered quickly. Honey, I didn't expect... He moved to kiss my cheek. I stepped aside. Don't let me interrupt. I'm just here to watch. Gareth entered, his eyebrows rising at my presence. I gave him a slight nod, our signal that everything was in place. He'd been surprisingly eager to help once I'd shown him the evidence of Yolanda's financial manipulations within the company. Quite a turnout, Gareth commented, taking his seat. Even brought a court reporter to document your big proposal, Casey. Casey beamed, missing the edge in his boss's voice. Well, it is a landmark deal. The door opened again. A sheriff's deputy entered, document folder in hand. Mr. Casey Harrison? Casey's smile flickered. Can this wait? I'm about to begin a presentation. No, sir, it cannot. The deputy stepped forward. You've been served. The room fell silent as Casey took the papers with trembling hands. I watched his face as he read. Confusion, shock, rage. His eyes snapped to mine. What is this? Emergency custody hearing, I said calmly, plus some interesting financial fraud allegations. You might want to read the part about your mother's foundation. You can't... He looked around the room, realizing his audience. This is my presentation. Oh, don't stop on my account. I settled into a chair, adjusting Ella's blanket. I'm sure the board would love to hear about the tech startup, the one you diverted my inheritance into. Or was that money actually funding your mother's private accounts? Gareth stood up. Casey, is there something you need to tell us about the investment structure? This is ridiculous. Casey's composure cracked. She's unstable. Postpartum depression. My mother has documentation from the therapist she paid off. I pulled out my phone, playing Yolanda's confession from earlier. The colour drained from Casey's face as his mother's voice filled the room. That inheritance of yours, it's protecting Casey's future. Turn that off, he whispered. Why? Isn't this what you wanted? Everything out in the open? The board members shifted uncomfortably. One pulled out his phone, no doubt checking the company's legal exposure. Casey, Gareth's voice was steel. Is this true about the diverted investments? I can explain. To the SEC, I cut in. They're very interested in where that money went. Casey lunged for my phone, but the deputy stepped between us. Ella started crying, right on cue. Don't worry, I said, standing up. We're leaving. I just wanted you to experience what public humiliation feels like. Remember my daughter's welcome party? Our daughter, he snarled. Check the custody papers again. As of this morning, that's debatable. Gareth cleared his throat. I think we need to suspend this presentation. Casey, my office, now. I headed for the door, pausing to address the room. I apologise for the disruption. I just believe in transparency, especially when it comes to financial fraud and attempted parental alienation. The boardroom erupted in whispers as I left. Through the glass walls, I watched Casey follow Gareth, his perfect posture crumbling. My phone buzzed. Vivienne. Yolanda got her papers. She's trying to access the foundation accounts. Too late, I texted back. Gareth froze everything this morning. Another message popped up from Marley. How could you do this to him? I typed, ask your boyfriend, Casey's cousin, the one who helped steal my inheritance. Silence. In the lobby, Otto waited with a coffee. Need a getaway driver? Actually. I looked down at Ella, now peaceful again. Want to grab lunch? I have a feeling Casey will be busy with lawyers for a while. You're terrifyingly calm about all this. I learned from Yolanda. Appearance is everything. I let my hand shake finally. But I could use a friend right now. Otto touched my arm gently. You've got one. And, hey, you just took down an entire conspiracy in under an hour, while holding a baby. The day's not over, I said, checking my phone. Vivian's filing the criminal charges this afternoon. Remind me never to cross you. Through the glass doors, I watched Casey emerge from Gareth's office, security escort in tow. He saw me watching and mouthed something that looked like, please. I turned away. Let's get that lunch. I have a feeling my appetite's about to come back. Otto held the door, and for the first time in months, I walked out into the sunlight without looking over my shoulder. The voicemail started at midnight. I sat in Vivian's guest room listening to Casey unravel in real time. Baby, please. We can fix this. Delete. You're making a huge mistake. Delete. My mother is having a breakdown. Delete. If you don't call me back, I swear to God. Delete. Ella stirred in her crib as my phone lit up again. Marley this time. I answered on speaker, letting Vivian record from her laptop. How dare you? Marley hissed. Do you know what you've done? Exposed your role in stealing my inheritance. Yes, I do. I never... That's not... She faltered. James was just helping Casey protect you from yourself. James, Casey's cousin, the investment manager who conveniently started dating my best friend right when I got pregnant. Silence. Tell me, Marley, how much did they pay you to spy on me? It wasn't like that. We were worried about you. The way you kept questioning Casey's decisions, fighting Yolanda's help. You mean the way I noticed my money disappearing? A knock at the door made me jump. Vivian checked the security camera and mouthed, Yolanda. Got to go, I told Marley. Enjoy the SEC investigation. Yolanda's voice carried through the door. Lindsay, open up, right now. Should I call the police? Vivian whispered. I shook my head, pressing record on my phone. Let her dig her grave deeper. Opening the door revealed a dishevelled Yolanda, mascara smeared, designer outfit wrinkled. You vindictive little witch. Good evening to you too. You're violating the restraining order. The foundation board suspended me. She tried to push past me, but Vivienne blocked her. 20 years of reputation destroyed. Karma's interesting that way. I'll tell everyone about your episodes, she threatened. How you wouldn't let anyone help with Ella. How you isolated Casey. You mean like this? I played back her confession from earlier. The boar already has a copy. So does your pastor, by the way. The one you bragged to about saving my baby? Yolanda's face crumpled. He was perfect before you. My perfect boy. And now he's facing fraud charges. Funny how actions have consequences. My phone buzzed. Otto. Just saw Casey leaving the office. Box of personal items. Security escort. Speaking of consequences, I showed Yolanda the message. Looks like Casey's perfect career is over too. She lunged at me, but Vivienne was faster. In seconds, Yolanda was face down, my sister's law school self-defense classes proving useful. That's assault, Vivienne said calmly, dialing 911. On camera, with witnesses. You've ruined everything, Yolanda screamed as police sirens approached. No, I said, checking on a now crying Ella. You did that when you tried to steal my daughter. The police were professional, efficient. As they led Yolanda away, one officer paused. Ma'am, your husband's been trying to reach you. Ex-husband, I corrected. And yes, I know. After they left, Vivienne poured wine. You okay? No. I let out a shaky breath. But I will be. My phone lit up with messages, flying monkeys emerging to defend Casey and Yolanda, each text more desperate than the last. They're scared, Vivienne observed. The whole house of cards is falling. A new message appeared from Gareth. Board meeting tomorrow. Bringing forensic accountants. Need your documentation. Already sent, I replied. Another text from an unknown number. This is James. Marley told me everything. I'll testify. Rats fleeing the ship, Vivienne said. Otto called next. Hey, you need anything? I can bring dinner. Actually, I looked at Vivienne, who nodded encouragingly. That would be nice. After hanging up, I checked the security camera feed from my house, the one Casey didn't know about. He was there, sitting in his car, staring at the dark windows. Should we warn him about the new locks? Vivienne asked. Let him figure it out. I watched him on the screen. He needs to understand what it feels like to be locked out of your own life. Ella made those tiny baby noises that melted my heart. I picked her up, breathing in her perfect scent. Your daddy and grandma thought they could take you away, I whispered. They forgot that mothers are built for war. My phone buzzed one last time. Casey. Please, I'm outside our house. Just talk to me. I typed back. No, but you can talk to my lawyers tomorrow. Bring your mother and your accountant. Then I turned off my phone, held my daughter, and waited for Otto to arrive with dinner. Tomorrow would bring more battles, but tonight I'd won the war. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. Casey sat with his lawyer, his perfect appearance finally cracking. Wrinkled shirt, dark circles under his eyes. Yolanda perched beside him, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. They both flinched when I walked in with Ella. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Matthews studied the room, her eyes sharp. Quite a mess we have here. Custody dispute tangled with financial fraud. Let's start with the money. Casey's lawyer stood. Your Honour, My client was acting in his wife's best interest. By stealing her inheritance, Vivian interrupted, spreading documents across the table. We have proof of systematic fraud, including Mrs. Harrison's recorded confession. Objection. That recording was obtained under single-party consent law, Judge Matthews finished. I've reviewed it, along with the Foundation's records. She turned to Casey. Care to explain why your mother's charity was paying for your wife's therapist? Casey stood, straightening his tie. Your Honour, we were concerned about Lindsay's mental state. So concerned you documented everything? I spoke up, bouncing Ella gently. Every episode carefully noted, right after you moved my money. Order, Judge Matthews warned, but I caught her slight nod. Yolanda burst forward. She's manipulating everyone. She planned this. Mrs. Harrison, sit down, the judge snapped. Your Foundation's legal issues will be handled separately. The courtroom doors opened. Gareth entered with 2 men in suits. Your Honour, Vivian said. Mr. Townsend from the company board, with SEC investigators. Casey's face went ash white. Perfect timing, Judge Matthews said. Mr. Harrison, about those startup investments. I can explain everything, Casey stammered. Please do. Starting with this document showing you diverted funds 2 months before your daughter's birth. Ella chose that moment to coo loudly. Every head turned toward us. Speaking of your daughter, the judge continued, let's address custody. Mrs. Harrison, you have documentation of attempts to alienate you from your child. I handed over the party pamphlets. They distributed these at my daughter's welcome party, 3 weeks after my C-section. A welcome party where you announced taking over parental rights? Judge Matthews asked Yolanda. Without any legal standing? She wasn't bonding properly, Yolanda protested. I had to step in. By paying a therapist to diagnose me. I pulled out more papers. The same therapist who just surrendered her license rather than face investigation. The judge reviewed everything silently. Casey kept trying to catch my eye, but I focused on Ella's perfect face. I've seen enough, Judge Matthews finally said. Mr. Harrison, your financial dealings will be investigated by the SEC. Mrs. Harrison Sr., you're facing separate charges for your role. As for custody. The room held its breath. Full temporary custody to the mother, pending final divorce proceedings. Mr. Harrison, supervised visitation only, after completing parenting classes and psychological evaluation. No, Yolanda shrieked. You can't. One more word, the judge warned, and I'll add contempt of court. Mrs. Harrison Sr., you are barred from any contact with the child. Casey slumped in his chair. Lindsay, please. Save it, I said quietly. Save it for your fraud trial. Outside the courtroom, Gareth approached. The board voted. Casey's terminated, effective immediately. We'll cooperate fully with the investigation. Thank you, I said, for everything. I should have seen it sooner. Yolanda's influence was toxic from the start. Otto waited by the elevator, holding coffee and a diaper bag. Need an escape route? Before I could answer, Marley appeared. Lindsay, wait, you have to understand. I understand perfectly. I turned to face her. You chose the wrong side. How's James handling the SEC investigation? She fled in tears. That was cold, Otto observed. So was betraying your best friend. Casey emerged from the courtroom, eyes red. Can I hold her once? No. I stepped into the elevator. Call my lawyer to schedule supervised visits after your psych eval. I did it for us, he called as the doors closed. For our family. Otto touched my shoulder gently. You okay? I looked down at Ella, peaceful in her carrier. I will be. We both will be. My phone buzzed. Vivienne. Judge just issued the restraining order against Yolanda. It's done. Not quite done, I thought. but close. Want to grab lunch? Otto asked. You should eat something after. After destroying my husband's life? I managed a small smile. Yes, lunch sounds perfect. As we left the courthouse, I heard Yolanda's voice rising in another courtroom, something about foundation funds. But I didn't turn back. Some fires you light, then walk away and let them burn. The last box from Casey's study hit the donation pile with a satisfying thud. Otto held up a framed photo of Casey and Yolanda at some charity gala. Keep or burn? He asked. Donate. Let someone else's fake family hang it up. Ella crawled across her playmat, babbling happily. She'd started pulling herself up on furniture, each milestone documented without Casey's hovering commentary or Yolanda's criticism. My phone buzzed. Vivian. SEC just announced charges. Turn on the news. I flicked on the TV. There was Casey being led out of his lawyer's office in handcuffs. The headline scrolled, Executive charged in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. They found more than just my inheritance, I told Otto. Turns out Yolanda's foundation was just the tip of the iceberg. How's she handling prison? According to her lawyer's latest appeal, not well. Apparently, designer jumpsuits aren't a thing. Otto gathered more papers from Casey's desk. Hey, what's this? It was a birthday card I'd given Casey last year. Inside, I'd written about my hopes for our future family. About trust and love and partnership. Burn that one, I said quietly. The doorbell rang. Through the security camera, I saw Marley shifting nervously on the porch. Want me to send her away? Otto offered. No, it's time. Marley looked smaller somehow, her designer clothes replaced with simple jeans. I brought this. She held out a USB drive. All the emails between James and Casey, about the money, about you, everything. The SEC already has them. I know, She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry, I got caught up in their world. The status, the connections. James dumped me the day after the arrests. Karma's funny that way. Can you ever forgive me? I thought about trust, about friendship, about betrayal. No, but I can thank you. Thank me? If you hadn't helped them, I might have taken years to see who they really were. Now, Ella will grow up without their poison. Marley nodded slowly. You were always stronger than they thought. Goodbye, Marley. Inside, Otto was entertaining Ella with silly faces. Everything okay? Getting there. I picked up my daughter, breathing in her baby shampoo scent. Did you mean what you said? About staying? Through fraud investigations, family drama, and midnight feedings? He smiled. Try getting rid of me. My phone lit up. Casey's number. His weekly attempt at contact. Right on schedule. This time, I answered. Lindsay, please. The prosecutor offered a deal. If you speak on my behalf. No. Mum's losing everything. The foundation, her reputation. Actions have consequences, Casey. You taught me that. I love you, he tried. I love Ella. You loved control, power, your mother's approval. Don't call again. I hung up, hands steady. Otto waited, patient as always. You know what's funny? I said, watching Ella play. They thought making me look unstable would break me. Instead, it made me document everything, build evidence, prepare. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy in reverse. Exactly. I deleted Casey's number finally. They created their own destruction. The afternoon sun streamed through windows, no longer shadowed by Yolanda's surprise visits or Casey's monitoring. Ella laughed at something only babies understand. Want to get out of here? Otto asked. The park's having that food truck festival. Actually, I looked around at the half-packed house. Let's sell this place, start fresh. You sure? This was their house, their vision, time for our own. Our? I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in what felt like forever. If you want, he answered by kissing me softly. careful not to squish Ella between us. My phone buzzed one last time. Vivienne. Yolanda's appeal denied. Casey took the plea deal. It's over. But it wasn't over. It was beginning. A life without manipulation, without walking on eggshells, without perfect appearances, hiding ugly truths. Food trucks? I asked Otto. Food trucks, he agreed, already gathering Ella's diaper bag. Outside, the summer air felt clean, new. Ella waved at passing dogs. Otto held my hand. And somewhere in a prison visiting room, a mother and son faced the consequences of their actions. They tried to write my story. The unstable new mother, the needed intervention, the justified takeover. Instead, I'd written their ending. And now, finally, I was free to write my own.